What happens when pain is met not with understanding, but with a forced smile and a demand to stay positive? This story explores the idea of toxic positivity, the belief that only positive emotions should be expressed, no matter the situation. It looks at how phrases like good vibes only can quietly dismiss real pain, grief, and struggle. It follows the inner conflicts people experience when they feel pressured to appear happy while carrying heavy emotional weight. Staying until the end matters because this is not just about emotions, it is about mental health, relationships, and self-trust. Understanding this pattern can bring relief, clarity, and a gentler way of responding to human suffering. Toxic positivity often appears harmless. It usually arrives wrapped in encouragement. It sounds supportive at first. Phrases like, everything happens for a reason, or just stay positive, are often said with good intentions. But intention does not erase impact. Psychology shows that emotions exist for a reason. Sadness points to loss. Anger points to a violated boundary. Fear signals danger. These emotions are not flaws. They are information. When society sends the message that only happiness is acceptable, people learn to suppress important signals from their own minds. This suppression usually starts early. Children often hear statements like, "Don't cry," or "Be grateful." Others have it worse. Over time, this teaches that emotional pain is something to hide. The child learns that love and acceptance come with emotional silence. As adults, this pattern continues. In workplaces, people are praised for resilience, but discouraged from showing vulnerability. In friendships, discomfort is avoided. In families, difficult topics are brushed aside. Positivity stops being a personal preference and slowly turns into an unspoken obligation. The human nervous system does not work this way. Emotions that are ignored do not disappear. They settle into the body. Research on emotional suppression shows higher stress levels, increased anxiety, and physical tension. The body carries what the mind is not allowed to express. One hidden danger of toxic positivity is emotional invalidation. When someone shares pain and receives a positive slogan instead of empathy, the message is clear. Their feelings are inconvenient. Over time, this creates shame. The person starts to believe their emotional responses are wrong. This shame can lead to isolation. People stop sharing. They withdraw. They may appear calm on the surface while feeling deeply alone inside. The absence of emotional support becomes a quiet ache. Another danger is distorted self-blame. When positivity is framed as a mindset choice, suffering becomes a personal failure. If someone is still sad, they assume they are not trying hard enough. This belief is especially harmful for those dealing with grief, trauma, or chronic stress. Grief is a clear example. Loss does not follow a timeline, yet people in grief are often encouraged to move on or focus on the good memories. While meant to help, these phrases deny the reality of loss. Grief needs space, not pressure. Trauma responses are also misunderstood through toxic positivity. Fear, numbness, or hypervigilance are often labeled as negative thinking. In reality, these are protective responses shaped by experience. Forcing positivity can worsen symptoms by removing safety. Toxic positivity also affects relationships. Real connection requires emotional honesty. When one person cannot tolerate discomfort, conversations stay shallow. Problems go unresolved. Resentment builds quietly. In romantic relationships, this can look like dismissing concerns with optimism. In friendships, it can appear as changing the subject when emotions get heavy. Over time, trust weakens. People feel unseen. Social media has amplified this pattern. Platforms reward curated happiness. Smiling faces, motivational quotes, and success stories dominate feeds. Pain is edited out. This creates a false standard of emotional normalcy. When people compare their inner world to these images, they often feel broken. Everyone else seems fine. The pressure to perform happiness grows stronger. Authentic emotion feels risky. This constant performance creates emotional exhaustion. The mind stays alert, monitoring expressions and words. Over time, this leads to burnout. The body cannot stay in a state of emotional control forever. Another subtle danger is loss of emotional literacy. When negative emotions are avoided, people lose the ability to name and understand them. They struggle to identify needs. This affects decision-making and self-care. Psychology emphasizes emotional acceptance as a core part of well-being. Acceptance isn't about liking pain. It's about letting emotions exist without judgment. This reduces internal conflict. Without acceptance, emotions turn inward. Anxiety may increase, depression may deepen, physical symptoms may appear. Headaches, digestive issues, and chronic tension often have emotional components. Toxic positivity also disrupts healing. Healing requires processing. Processing requires acknowledgement. When pain is skipped over, it remains unresolved. The mind keeps returning to it, seeking completion. In professional settings, toxic positivity can silence real problems. Workers may feel unsafe expressing concerns. Burnout becomes normalized. Stress is reframed as a mindset issue rather than a systemic one. This creates a culture where vulnerability is punished indirectly. People who speak up are labeled negative. Silence becomes survival. The same pattern appears in self-help spaces. While optimism can be useful, oversimplified advice can be harmful. Statements like, "just change your thoughts," ignore lived experience. Cognitive psychology shows that thoughts, emotions, and environment interact. Change doesn't happen instantly. It unfolds over time. It requires safety and support. Another overlooked danger is empathy erosion. When people rely on positivity to avoid discomfort, empathy weakens. Sitting with someone's pain becomes unfamiliar. Discomfort feels threatening. Empathy requires presence. It requires listening without fixing. Toxic positivity replaces presence with platitudes. This blocks emotional attunement. Over time, individuals raised in positivity only environments may struggle to support others. They may feel helpless around sadness. Avoidance becomes automatic. This creates cycles. Pain is avoided. Pain grows. Connection weakens. The central realization is simple but uncomfortable. Toxic positivity is not kindness. It is emotional avoidance disguised as care. True emotional health is not about feeling good all the time. It is about feeling honestly. The mind needs permission to experience the full range of emotion. Psychological resilience comes from flexibility, not constant optimism. It comes from the ability to move through emotions, not around them. Suppressing pain does not make someone strong. Facing it with support does. When positivity becomes a rule, it turns against the very people it claims to help. It teaches silence instead of expression. It teaches self-doubt instead of self-trust. Real support speaks differently. It sounds like, "that makes sense." It sounds like, "this is hard." It allows space without rushing toward resolution. This realization reframes positivity itself. Positivity is helpful when it follows acknowledgement. Hope works best when grounded in reality. Encouragement should come after understanding, not instead of it. There is a quieter way to relate to emotions. It does not demand happiness. It allows complexity. It understands that pain and hope can exist at the same time. In this space, emotions are not problems to solve. They are experiences to witness. Sadness does not need to be erased to make room for joy. Joy feels deeper when sadness has been honored. People begin to trust themselves again when emotions are allowed. The inner world feels safer. Thoughts become clearer. The body relaxes when it no longer has to hide. This shift changes relationships. Conversations deepen. Support feels real. Silence becomes shared rather than lonely. This realization reframes positivity itself. Positivity is helpful when it follows acknowledgement. Hope works best when grounded in reality. Encouragement should come after understanding, not instead of it. There is a quieter way to relate to emotions. It does not demand happiness. It allows complexity. It understands that pain and hope can exist at the same time. In this space, emotions are not problems to solve. They are experiences to witness. Sadness does not need to be erased to make room for joy. Joy feels deeper when sadness has been honored. People begin to trust themselves again when emotions are allowed. The inner world feels safer. Thoughts become clearer. The body relaxes when it no longer has to hide. This shift changes relationships. Conversations deepen. Support feels real. Silence becomes shared rather than lonely. The phrase, "good vibes only," loses its power here. It is replaced with something quieter, something more human. A willingness to stay present even when feelings are messy, unfinished, and still unfolding.